When I first self-published Nailbiters in 2015, I did a blog tour for it, and I was so excited to see all these people blogging about my book. But it's 2024, and do people still read book blogs? And oh my gosh, I would actually have to pay for one of these now. Back in the day, when I first started self-publishing, the landscape of book PR and media tours was totally different for self-publishing authors. So I decided to try it again in 2024 and see what it's like and how much it costs and if it's worth it. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm MK. I'm an author and I love sharing my insights about all things books and publishing with you. Before I get into the details of today's video, don't forget to hit subscribe. You'll be notified every week as I release new videos about publishing, making a career to being an author, and now being a mompreneur. And while I've been giving this disclaimer at the beginning of all of my videos, is this for a traditional publishing author or an author looking to traditionally publish, or a self-publishing author because I have been self-publishing since 2014, but last year in 2023, I signed with an agent and we are trying to get my first book traditionally published on that side of the house. So I would say this video is probably going to be more targeted towards the self-publishing author who is fronting all the money for their publicity and marketing. Now, some traditionally published authors, if they're with a really small indie house, or if they feel like maybe they want to reboost a backlist title, they may engage somebody for some of these services. However, I was able to give free copies of my book to be read through this service, so I don't necessarily know if that's something a traditionally published author could do. You definitely want to check your contract. So my guess is mostly for self-publishing authors. So today I'm going to talk about working with a PR, author public relations, author VA, and Bookstagram tour organizer. So this was Hayling, Bookstorm. There are lots of services out there. I am willing to try them all. If there's others that you would recommend that you've used or that you want to see me try, drop the link below. But specifically, I worked with Hayley. So I signed up for an ARC, an advanced reader copy for Harriet Ashford's debut indie romance, The Trouble with Love and Ink. It was so good, let me tell you. Now, everything for her ARC team ran through Hayley. So after I finished with my ARC and I told Harriet how much I loved it, I asked about her experience working with Hayley. She said that she was loving it so far. At the time, the book still wasn't out yet, so they were still working together. But she said so far it was great just to have somebody to be like, can you do all this? Can you get people to sign up and vet that they're reading it and make sure they have the right format and all the things? And I think it is a kind of a nice cheat code as an author when you're first self-publishing and there's so much to do and so much to manage, and you need to write your next book to keep the revenue stream going. It is nice to have somebody you can kind of offload it to. Now, I was definitely curious because could I revive some interest in an interview with a van lifer with engaging with book PR? So I lost so much mojo and momentum for this story when we had to evacuate from Hurricane Ian the week before launch. It just felt wrong and kind of icky to talk about my climate fiction novella after a hurricane that intensified because of hotter Gulf waters and just decimated Fort Myers, which is a town like a couple hours south of us. So that didn't seem to be the way to spin it. That wasn't cringe. I couldn't do it. And then I had to focus on the AYA Workbook launch. So I didn't really give my hippie vampires the love they needed. And if I could revive that in 2024, I was all for it. I did decide to bite the bullet and just reach out to Hayley. Now, if this doesn't work or generate any sales, then hey, I tried. I can at least make a video about it to show you and recoup the investment that way. So I figured it's worth it. So I reached out to Hayley on April 3rd. She got back to me right away. Love that. Love the communication. She answered all my questions and we signed a contract on April 4th. Already, this was a huge win for me to be able for us to work so fast. So she specifically has packages for already published books for reviving them. You can work with her pre-launch or you can do what I do, which is more of a book relaunch or revival. I love this because so many authors are strapped for cash when it comes time to launch and then they lose momentum or they didn't know what they didn't know. And so I really love that she was able to offer me something and not just be like, well, I only work with freshly launching books, because that really limits the pool of authors to those who just have extra money to invest upfront. So I was really appreciative that she offered that. Now she started to collect signups on April 6th. They closed on April 11th. So we had a total of 20 people sign up to review it. Now, at first I was a little disheartened by this because I was like, well, I know there's a lot of people on this list, but This is a novella, which already, like, a lot of people just don't like to read novellas. I don't know why. It's short, it's quick, but some people are like, no, I want a long book. It's not romance or thriller. And I believe a lot of her audience does skew more towards romance and thriller, which are like the top genres. Like, that totally makes sense. So I also like that these people were self-selecting, right? If she had just sent it to everybody on the list and they were like, I don't want to read this, or like, this is not a kind of book I like to read, they probably would have given it a star rating appropriate with that. So I'm glad that these were 20 people who said, I want to read this book. I'm going to read this book. Based on the description, I think I will like this book. So that felt really good just to have, hey, like 20 people. Again, like, would I have loved over 200? Of course, but I'll take 20. So the readers who signed on posted that they were going to start reading it, and they tagged me in it. They posted really thoughtful reviews on Instagram, and they had the images and reviews they posted really amplified my limited reach. Like, sometimes when I'm on Instagram, I feel like I'm just shouting back to the same people over and over. So it was so nice to see Bookstagrammers, like people who are constantly posting about books to their audience, talking about my book and getting it out further. So that was really exciting. So Hayley followed up on time. She did the work that she said she would. And I really appreciated all the follow-up that I got from her. How if I had a question, she was very quick to respond. How she anticipated, like, hey, it's been so many weeks. Here's how many people have left their review. Here's where they've left their reviews. So these reviews were on Instagram, but also on Goodreads and Amazon and BookBub. So it was very exciting to see my book that just had a totally botched launch, kind of finally getting some love and some reviews. And so I really wanted to get more reviews too. But it was really exciting to see that momentum. And I have noticed a bit of like a trickle uptick in sales on this short story since then. So that was really exciting. And so I'm hoping to kind of keep going with that momentum. So I would say if you're considering working with somebody to do author PR to either launch your book or to relaunch your book, Hayley had great prices. And she's Canadian, so the conversion rate worked out in my favor from US to Canadian dollars. Just a little international math there. So that's my recommendation. Have you worked with Hayley? Have you worked with other author PR or VAs? Are there any that you are considering trying that you'd like to see me test out for you? Please let me know in the comments below. And remember that I pay for all these marketing experiments out of my own pocket, so I can be honest about it. So if you would like to help fund some of these marketing experiments, hit that thanks button or check out my Buy Me a Coffee wish list. That way I can pay for it up front and I can let you know if I like things or not. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a thumbs up or hit subscribe. That tells YouTube you got value from it, and then they can get this in front of other authors like us. Now you can get back to writing your book.